Do you got any more?
I think you touched on at the beginning, Sean, about the banded bicep curls over the summer. I'm seeing like kind of like a long journey. To go back to like my sort of the beginning of like kind of not focusing on the things like outside of training. I didn't give time to like programs to kind of like see the long turn of it. So like we would do 4 or 8 weeks of like one program, and if I didn't see the results that I wanted, or I had like a shitty day, be like, I would just like jump to the next one, or if like X didn't happen by like Saturday, be like, okay, on to the next one. When the results you want are going to be 3-6 months to a year of progress and training. It's not like a light switch you just turn on and like, okay, I have this result. So doing a lot of like program hopping and not really committing to any sort of process at all was probably one of the biggest mistakes I made. I just spent a lot of time probably like repeating things over and over and over again, just kind of spinning the wheels and not really getting any sort of results.
I think this next one we've all made, and I'd like to hear how everyone's own interpretation of it. And I know it's big out there, and it's a huge mistake. And so we've all gotten over that initial hump of like how difficult exercise can be, and then it starts to becoming enjoyable and maybe even part of your lifestyle. So much so that you begin to tell yourself, you worked out so hard, you have earned the right to eat something crappy. And then that eat something crappy turns into this relationship where, mistakes Noel and I both have made is like we would literally drive to go swim somewhere, a swimming pool, put some laps in the pool and say, okay, we earn Wendy's now. And we would just go eat fast food, being naive in that mentality. Or because we had a hard training day or we did, these few things that we earned the right to eat pizza and ice cream and not realizing you, of course, can enjoy those things in moderation, but it became more of a habitual thing that we were developing, and the wrong mental association of like, this output earns us this ability to do this, and then it became to do this all the time. Like pizza became regular, ice cream became regular, and then obviously the bodies changed and weren't great, feeling great. I know we made that quite commonly early on in our CrossFit journey.
That's exactly what happened. So in the beginning of my CrossFit journey, I was really trying to lose weight, and so that's when I was doing these cleanses and all these like low calorie or just not having an understanding of what the energy that I was exuding, having energy expenditure that I was having in CrossFit, and then all of a sudden it was like crazy workout, go home, and then I was like starving, so hungry, and I would just consume all the food. And I remember like friends would always like almost encourage that, like, yeah, you deserve it, you work so hard. And I was like, yeah, you're right. And there was like justification. So it was like lost a lot of weight and then swung the other way and like gaining so much weight because I was depriving myself of all the calories that I needed in the beginning, but then being so hungry and not having that like the supported diet behind it, and then just like I was swinging the other way and like consuming so much burgers, french fries, the whole entire thing.
Similar enough, going through a really hard workout kind of gave me the entitlement to want to go home and eat maybe half a box or a whole box of pasta by myself. Partner that with maybe a chicken parm or something like that. But similar with Abby was talking about with gaining weight, once I actually lost all the weight that I was trying to lose, I decided I wanted to bulk up again, and I ended up buying something called Mass Gainer, which is basically like 1,000 to 2,000 calorie milkshake you can make yourself. And I ended up gaining like probably over 10 pounds in a 2-week window of just terrible weight that I did not want on me anymore. So the lesson learned with that is you can't gain 10 pounds of good weight by just adding something you find at the bottom shelf at GNC.
10-year call sign, be Mass Man.
Mass Man? I like that.
I remember, Nolan, for you, if you have this story, you and a friends of ours at the time went to Chipotle. We worked out really hard, and one of the, I don't know if it was you or one of them, tried to eat. Chipotle has those burritos, and they're probably the size of
No, we didn't try, but we did it. we
1.5 or 2.
No, we ate 2.
Right, which is probably the ballpark of like 3,000 calories.
Oh, yeah.
The size is like of
yes. Actually, so like at the time it was like so me and two of my friends, we crammed into my two-door Honda Civic. Like, I don't know how 600 pounds fit into this car, but there's probably a picture on like Instagram or Facebook somewhere of my friend like passed out in my back seat because it's 3,000 calories, and like that's kind of like my story. Like I like large chunks of time, I used to be like an undereater throughout the day, and I was cramming like all my calories at the end. So like I didn't really see the changes in like my body composition or anything like that. Because I've always worked kind of like fast-paced, like very like active jobs on my feet a lot, but my performance just wouldn't take off anywhere. So I wasn't feeling myself the right way. So yeah, I'd have days like I'd maybe like a day where I would eat for 6, 8, 10 hours, then yeah, it would be like I'm gonna go to Chipotle and get 2 burritos, or like just do like these like just pack it all in, just kind of like maintain where I was at. But yeah, I think we each ate 2 burritos, came back to the gym. At the old gym, we had a loft like space in the back with a futon, and I fell asleep for 90 minutes because I was so full and couldn't move. So yeah.
And I think to kind of bring all our mistakes to a close here, Abby, Nolan, and myself have just around 10 years or so time with CrossFit and the strength and conditioning thing that we're doing. And you know, Peter, you've been training since you were 15, 16, right in that range.
It's like 3 years.
Yeah, so so a good amount of time. And I know as I'm in my early 30s,
late 30s,
Nolan's approaching those, and Peter, you know, luckily you're in that youthful early 20s. So the mistake, I think, and you harped a little bit on this earlier, Nolan, was like the neglect for self-care. And that could be like, I don't need to stretch. I'm not going to stretch. I'm not going to do the things that maybe my mind needs outside of here. The sleep that you mentioned. And I'm thinking as a you know, business with Railroad, we've factored that into how we program the year now, like these unilateral rehab, better body cycles to give our body time to recover, the way we assess, the way we keep our bodies healthy. What do you guys think about where that's come for you in terms of the mistakes of maybe neglecting the self-care? You alluded to that earlier, to how you view that now.
Definitely, if we took an album of pictures over the last 10 years, it is crazy how the sizes that I've been through, like close to 200 pounds, all the way down to like 120 pounds, and I was so obsessed with the scale and how I looked, and now it's more of and I would deprive myself. I wouldn't eat, overtrain, less eating, more fitness. That was the key. Or I could compensate and eat all I want. So like it was this roller coaster of dieting and nutrition mistakes and fitness mistakes. But now it's like the thing that's worked for me, and I would say us now, is like consistency in like the areas that matter, which is sleep. Put yourself to bed early, get that 7 to 8 hours sleep. Like that in itself has made such a difference in my recovery and performance and strength in the gym, and being consistent with the eating. I used to never eat breakfast. I would barely even eat lunch. Now I'm consistent with 3 meals a day, paying attention. Now we're kind of getting a little bit more micro when it comes to that. But that's really what it is. It's consistency in different areas, sleep and nutrition, and even a little bit of that mindset. We raise ourselves to the standard of giving ourselves things to read, things to listen to. That podcast that we listen to, I've never grasped onto this so much more in my life, which is you can make a living doing your job, but you can make a fortune by working on yourself. So it's like, and that adds right to it. So I think consistency in those areas that we neglected for a very, very long time.
Since joining here, the biggest thing that I'm taking away as far as like things to avoid mistake-wise is how important it is to not neglect the little things. Like going through, or the past couple years of my life before coming here, I've always had very bad shoulder pain and bad back pain, point to where driving in a car over an hour, it'd be excruciating. So since joining here, just being consistent on doing the things that are gonna help my back and help my shoulders get in a healthier place than where they are now. So just really being consistent with what pushes you in the right direction.
There's that word twice.
Consistent.
Bring us home.
this might sound weird, but it's okay to be selfish. I think, like when I'm 29, like probably my early 20s, like 21, 22, 23, 24, I would say yes to everything. I would work as much as I could, would still like play hard, whether it was like fitness or going out with friends, and not really taking the time, like Sean said, for self-care. But I think it's really important to find what works for you, like be selfish about it at times, because it's only you know you. Like Abby alluded to, like she would work out really hard, but then her friends would be like, let's go do this thing, not really understanding like what she's trying to accomplish, like what she's doing. When you need to have those moments like where you're selfish and you do take care of yourself, because if you don't take care of yourself, like who else can you take care of if you're not at your best? So I think that's along with the consistency and like maintaining like everything else else outside of there, being true to yourself, like being self sometimes, like you need to do what's been right for you, and making sure like you need to.
100%. Yeah. Those are some of the mistakes we made along our journey. See you next week.